guys? Welcome back to my channel. So, Marvel is keeping Kang. Let's see what's happening here.
Well, we've had reports that Marvel Studios is getting rid of Kang after they fired Jonathan Majors, who of course plays Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. We got reports that they are getting rid of the character Kang altogether, and even Avengers Kang Dynasty is now simply titled Avengers 5 at Marvel Studios. And today we have a brand new report that states Marvel Studios actually plans to keep Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. However, he is not going to be a main focus anymore, at least not for a while. Now, these reports may seem conflicting, but they actually aren't. They can go hand in hand with each other, and I'll explain how. Now, when Jonathan Majors was fired by Marvel Studios because he was found guilty in court, pretty much everyone was talking about it. All of the major outlets like Variety, Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, Forbes talked about it, The Rolling Stone talked about it. And everybody was talking about the future of Kang the Conqueror in the MCU and how it looks like Marvel is going to move away from the character. But The Hollywood Reporter specifically reported that Avengers Kang Dynasty was no longer titled Kang Dynasty, but simply titled Avengers 5, according to their sources. Insider Jeff Snyder said the same thing. He said, "I told you that the next Avengers movie wouldn't be called the Kang Dynasty. The name Kang only conjures thoughts of Jonathan Majors." And this part is most likely true. The next Avengers film, which was supposed to be Kang Dynasty, will not be titled Kang Dynasty, but that doesn't mean Kang is done in the MCU, because according to Alex Perez from thecosmiccircus.com, Kang is going to be coming back, and Marvel Studios still does have plans for Kang the Conqueror. Now, of course, unfortunately, I have to clarify this. Jonathan Majors will not be playing Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. They will recast Kang. Jonathan Majors has been fired from Marvel Studios. He's not going to come back and play Kang unless perhaps he does an appeal and he wins that appeal. However, that could take a very, very long time. But according to Alex Perez at the Cosmic Circus, we won't see Kang for a very long time. Even though he's not done, he's not going to pop up until the very end. So we do have time, and Majors could appeal in court and possibly win. I've seen a lot of lawyers go on the news recently talking about the case, stating that he should appeal and that he might actually have a pretty decent chance at winning the appeal. So who knows what could happen there, but we're not going to count on it. Besides, in the meantime, Marvel Studios is probably going to want to jump on who they want to replace him as Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. But let's break down this new report talking about Kang's future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you're new and you want to stay up to date on the MCU, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're also doing a giveaway, giving away a PS5 and Xbox Series X and more. We'll talk about that at the end. So this new report, again, is coming from Alex Perez at the Cosmic Circus, and he released this report in a very, very long and detailed article about the future of the MCU. I highly suggest, after you watch this video, you go and you check it out. I'll link it down in the description in the pinned comment. And here's the thing, from what I've read, from everything that you all have commented on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, it seems that most people would prefer this option that is laid out here in this article. The section on Kang is subtitled, "Kang Currently on Standby." It starts off by reading, "We could not conclude this article without addressing the elephant in the room, Kang the Conqueror. Following the guilty verdict of the trial of Jonathan Majors, Marvel Studios quickly dismissed Majors from his duties as Kang the Conqueror and his variants. We last saw Majors in the MCU with the release of Loki Season 2, in which he reprised his role as He Who Remains and portrayed the variant Victor Timely. By the show's end, Loki had taken control of the multiverse and created the multiversal tree, which allows infinite timelines to continuously expand and grow as a giant tree. Now, the bigger question, as the TVA moves on, is where does that leave Kang and his variants, many of which were all gathered at Limbo in a place outside of time and space? How does Marvel intend to address Kang's absence? Marvel's plan for him is the equivalent of sweeping it under the rug. Marvel will instead focus on other storylines while they take their time to build up Kang and the multiverse again, slowly, behind the scenes. Some sources have even gone beyond that to state that Marvel doesn't intend to address him directly until we are practically near the end of the multiverse saga. Sources state that there have been discussions and plans for other multiversal villains to step up to the plate in the upcoming phases. This is, of course, in an attempt to take control of the multiversal-sized vacuum left in the absence of Kang the Conqueror and his variants. But make no mistake, for better or worse, Marvel ultimately still intends to close out the Multiverse saga with a Kang variant as their final villain. So according to Alex Perez, Marvel Studios still plans to have at least one Kang the Conqueror stick around in the MCU. We won't
Which
see
they
him
should.
for a while, but he'll pop up at the end, and they will still slowly build him up. Now, the reason fans might like this option a lot is because Marvel Studios has already built him up. We've already seen him 3 times in the MCU, 4 if you count the post-credit for Ant-Man and the Wasp:
Right.
Quantumania. They've already established that there is a group of Kang variants out there, the Kang Trio, the Council of Kangs, who have gathered a mass army. We saw thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, of Kang variants following 3 very specific variants: Ramatut, Immortus, and the Scarlet Centurion. And when news first broke out that it looked like they were going to replace Kang altogether with a different villain, a lot of fans were pretty disappointed because they've already set them up in a pretty big way and they want to see how that plays out. Well, the good news is it looks like we will. However, not in the same fashion as we would have before. Whereas before, if this never happened to Jonathan Majors and he never went to court and was found guilty and he still was Kang the Conqueror, we would have seen him pop up in a lot more places, and of course we would still have Avengers Kang Dynasty. Now, it doesn't look like we are getting a Avengers Kang Dynasty film, and it doesn't really look like Kang is going to pop up much for the rest of the Multiverse saga until the very end. Now, it seems like this still kind of lines up with what Marvel Studios' original plans were for a final villain of Kang, and that was to be a Beyonder Kang variant, which would make sense and would kind of explain how you could kind of just dismiss the other groups of Kang that are out there in limbo outside of space and time, because the Beyonder can also exist outside of space and time. But they could add a cool little twist to the Beyonder variant of Kang. You see, Kang the Conqueror, his real name is Nathaniel Richards. He's just a human. I've said this before, but he doesn't have any actual powers. All of his powers come from technology. We saw this in Quantumania. Kang was stranded in the quantum realm. He had no powers. He was helpless until he got his suit back. And only then was he powerful and could now build the giant city which we saw in the quantum realm. But if you add a Kang Beyonder variant, then perhaps this Beyonder variant could have powers of his own, much like the actual Beyonder
That'd
from
be
Marvel
interesting.
Comics. And this would pretty much make all other variants of Kang obsolete, because this would be the ultimate Kang variant, one with powers and technology. So this could still work, and in the meantime, they could bring in other awesome villains. I mean, this was pretty much how the Infinity Saga was. The first Avengers film wasn't entirely about Thanos, it was really about Loki. Yes, Thanos' army was behind it, and Loki was working for Thanos, but the main villain of that film was Loki. The same thing goes for Avengers Age of Ultron. Thanos wasn't behind Ultron. Ultron was his own separate villain. He was the main villain of that film. Then eventually they had Thanos in Infinity War and Endgame. Yes, he was kind of in the background here and there, but he wasn't exactly a huge prominent person. He was never the main villain of a movie like Kang was in Quantumania before Infinity War. So they could still make this work. They could still make it work to where the big bad raid boss Kang the Conqueror villain doesn't come in until Avengers Secret Wars, and he's the villain that everybody has to take down. I also like this because this means that Doom can be saved as a main villain for a different saga, which is what I really want. Doom is a character that you really have to spend a lot of time with to truly understand and appreciate, and I think he deserves an entire saga to himself. But let us know what you think about these plans in the comments down below about Marvel Studios' plans to essentially sweep Kang under the rug, let everything that happened with Jonathan Majors die down. Don't say Kang for a while, because again, that will kind of bring up Jonathan Majors, but then in the end, bring him back because they already set him up for the story, for Kang to be the big bad multiversal villain. So let us know your thoughts and let us know who you think should replace him as the actor for Kang the Conqueror. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're automatically entered in our giveaway for a chance to win a PS5, an Xbox Series X, some Marvel Legends items, and some DC items as well. The winner picks one item and we pick one winner at the end of each month. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
You know, I personally didn't think it was going to be a good idea to just kind of completely take him out of there, like things just didn't happen. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's already being built up between Loki, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, and Quantumania, and, you know, just seeing the end credit scene for that and just knowing, like, okay, this is going to be a really, really big deal, and now knowing that there was a big movie, I don't think that they should have taken it out anyway. I think it's a good idea that they plan on keeping it. But as far as not bringing him back until way, 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 way later. If that's their plan, I feel like that also gives Jonathan Majors some time to appeal. And if he does win, possibly bring him back. That can kind of give them some time to, wait and see with a backup plan just in case. But I don't know. I personally feel like when it comes to Jonathan Majors and this whole issue, I feel like it was probably a toxic situation. They probably both had issues, but the way that we saw this play out and her not getting any anything what in the part that she played is kind of unfair to me. I'm not saying it was right if he did put his hands on her. I'm not saying that's right. You should definitely keep your hands to yourself. But I feel like this probably wasn't the first time. Maybe he was a bit aggressive, yes, but she also tried to pull on him. She was trying to grab him. She grabbed his phone. She was chasing him. She was pleading for them to not do anything to him. I mean, it just sounds toxic. And I feel like overall it was just not a good relationship for either one of them, because in a relationship like that, you could bring the worst out of each other. So, but aside from that, like I just feel like she should also suffer consequences for her actions, and I feel like we didn't see any of that. I don't know what's going to happen later, but should he appeal it? I think he should, because I think that there's a lot of things that were missing. I think that, it just happened a little, I wouldn't say too quickly, because I don't know how quick things like this go in court. But I feel like it was just some holes in this whole situation that needed to be filled and weren't, just based off of what I saw. So I think maybe he should appeal it and see what happens and present all the evidence that he has, and kind of reconvene and see what happens then. But aside from that, if they have to replace him, which they may very well replace him, I think John Boyega might be a good one. I like him as an actor. He has a strong presence. Him playing a villain, I don't know, has he played a villain or a bad guy in any movie? I don't know, but I think that he would be a good pick for this. I think that he would be a good pick. That's just my opinion. Nobody else really comes to mind, because I'm just so used to Jonathan Majors being it. And it's almost like it has been built up so much with Jonathan Majors that now it's almost just like now that gets taken away. So we have to kind of see, like, all right, well, who will work? What works? That's the only concern a lot of fans, I think, have, is that if you're going to redo this, rewrite, recast, I hope it makes sense. I hope that it's really, really good, because it's a big part in all of these other movies that are coming out. So that's just my opinion, but leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you think should replace Jonathan Majors as Kang. Let me know if you guys think that he should appeal or not. Leave it alone. Do you think that there is time for them to bring him back, because they plan on they don't plan on bringing Kang back anytime soon? So, what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below, and if you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel. Hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!